So I wanted to give my opinions on the league. Now, my opinion is going to be a little bit different than most people because I usually play the league from day one up until the very last day for pretty much every league. So I spend a lot more time in the league and playing the mechanic than most people ever will. I know there's a lot of people that go pretty hard week one, week two, and then kind of give up after that, or not give up, but are finished after that. So, has this league been as good or as bad as people are saying? Is it really as dire as some people have made it out to be? In my opinion, no. I think this league has been really good. I think this league has been different than every other league, and obviously every league is different from each other. Is this league perfect? No. Does this league have things that could have been improved, that could have been changed during the league? Also, yes. But there's a lot of things that this league has done really well. And I think what a lot of people kind of have struggled with this league is coming to the terms that there is no Mirage, there is no more double loot, basically. There is no more kind of brain off, just pick one thing and off you go into the Mirage. And I think a lot of people are missing that mechanic. If Mirage does come back later on in other leagues, I think it would be a great addition. I know a lot of people have thrown around the idea of it being like a wildwood type of thing. It kind of spawns every now and again, and that's probably the best, because if it does come back as something on the Atlas tree, you would have to spec into it every single time, because like I said, it would just be double loot if it's there. But I think a lot of people had trouble adjusting to that in the league, and the new voyages, the new charts, the new crafting has been absolutely incredible. The new crafting has been way better than I think a lot of people thought before it came out. I know a lot of people, including myself, thought it was going to be really good before it came out. Once it came out, it was just as good. The ability of this league to be able to swap your attributes is one of the nicest additions that we've had in probably a long time, to be honest. There's been, especially for me that plays a stacker, attribute in stacker on day one, definitely been a lot better to have that, because without that you'd have a lot harder time of getting the gearing right. The whole intangibility thing on items, the way it scales, the way it works is done really well. Would I have changed anything for it? Probably would have added a few more options in terms of maybe like a multi-craft. Like, say for example, you'd put in like a regal into an exalt, you'd have like 2 slots, and obviously would combine them. But it's that would have been a slightly cool idea to be able to kind of speed up the whole process. But I know they can't really do that, because the regal would have gave you one option, the exalt would have gave you another one, and they could only fit one in one per frame inside the outcome. But in terms of the charts, in terms of the voyages, I think the charts have been improved a lot on from when they first started. They were great when they first started. There was a lot of loot that was coming out of them, especially out of the message in the bottles. I saw a lot of people early on, the first couple of days, actually like day 1 to day 3, getting multiple divines from it. After that, I saw a lot less people getting multiple divines for it, including myself. That was kind of interesting. There might have been a slight tweak from that from GGG. It could have been, because the rate of what people were getting divines, multiple divines, another big value currency from it early on was actually quite high. So I'm more than likely expecting that those numbers were tweaked in the process. The changes to the voyages that we've had, where they'll be giving us the ability to see all the border modifiers by pressing Alt, giving us the things that make it more rewarding. They haven't really gotten that much more difficult after those were added in. Not for my builds anyway. But in terms of the rewards have definitely gone up. A lot of people know how much potential profit you can make from just running the charts, running the voyages, especially if you land big on one of the border modifiers or on one of the implicits for the charts in the voyages. The whole drowning mechanic has been changed quite a bit over the time since it came out. I never really had a problem with it, from over dying with it or anything like that. mean, it was pretty simple to kind of just not drown. I know a lot of people were kind of caught off guard by it. The one thing that was kind of a letdown this league is that a lot of people have talked about already was there wasn't really many changes to any of the farms, any of the in-game changes. I know there was a lot of kind of expectations, kind of hype around the end game, hoping that something would have came out in this patch in 3.29. It really didn't. We were kind of maybe expecting some Scarab changes. Scarab changes would have been really big for endgame farming, or just buffs in general to certain certain farms in endgame that were kind of non-existent after they've been changed and nerfed. Something that I really miss from Merc League was the juiced exile farming. That was one of the most fun I've had. Those big massive loot explosions after killing those massive exiles was a lot of fun. There was a lot of farm diversity back in Merc League and in somewhat in Mirage. And for like a lot of people have said, there hasn't been really that much farm diversity in this league. In terms of ground loot, in terms of tile loot, as a lot of people have said, tile loot has been probably one of the best places it's been in a while. But for 3.330 that we're going to be getting, I think there's going to be a lot of changes to the endgame for that. Could it maybe get a whole Scarab rework? That would be pretty cool. Give us a lot more to a lot more to work around for farms. There is going to be probably, like, it depends again. If they do mention there's going to be a Scarab change for 3.30, there's going to be a lot of people that are kind of going to be overhyping the changes before we see them. I just hope it's going to be one of those things that's actually worth the change, and that is like a positive impact on the game. More than likely it will be, because usually if there's a Scarab change, there's usually some type of broken combination that just sends one of the farms or a couple of the farms into absolute orbit in terms of profit, divs per hour. And also, not a lot of things that a lot of people have been caught up with this league is how poor the divs per hour are. But like I think it's got to do with the PoE 2. A lot of people come back from that, where divs were dropping multiple per map. A lot of people getting a dopamine effect from that. Then you come over to PoE 1, where you're not really dropping many divines, especially not in this league, because the ground loot was pretty poor this league. It's still not great. There's been a couple of farms that have helped it out. Hasn't been that great though, to be fair. It could have been a lot better. Even with the changes to like Abyss. I know I made a video on Abyss, and I think Abyss is in a great place now compared to before. It was good before, but it's a lot better now. I think that's one thing that people kind of did struggle with, is kind of getting used to the whole there is less loot this league, and a lot of people only kind of really play this game for the loot. But for my opinion, as someone, like I said, who plays from day one until the end, I don't think this league was as bad as people have made it out to be. I think it was a little bit over exaggerated. And I think a lot of people kind of just jumped on the bandwagon of it being a poor league. And I know the player retention has been really poor. I think it has been really poor, actually, one of the worst that it's been in recent leagues, or in all the leagues. But it doesn't mean it's a poor league. Like, I know a lot of people are going to correlate poor player retention with a poor league, but that's not exactly how it works. Like, just because the player base is not playing, players that are staying around, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a poor league. It just could mean that whatever that league mechanic is, or the farms in in-game, that people are not liking them. But that doesn't mean that the league itself, the whole mechanic, was poor. Because a lot of people really do like the voyages, a lot of people really do like the charts, a lot of people really do like the crafting. I think the crafting is something that definitely should stay in place. I think overall, what I would say about this league, if I gave it a rating out of 10, I would say it's probably a solid 7. Like I said, there could have been a lot of things that could have been done differently, a lot of things that could have been improved during the league and before release. But overall, I really don't think it was that bad of a league. What I would like to see in 3.30 would be probably scarab changes. I would like for us to be able to put in more scarabs into the map device. So, because I put in a stack of 20, and I know why you can only put in a stack of 20 because when they're in the stash tab, they're in a stack of 20. But I would like for us to be able to put in like a stack of 100 for one scarab. That way, there's a lot less downtime for running maps. And I know you still have to roll the maps, but in terms of putting the scarabs in, you can just put in 100 of each, and just off you go running those maps, and you can forget about scarabs for a while. I think that would be pretty cool to see. I know it's a small tweak. If you're wondering how I do not get bored if I'm playing every single day, which I have been playing every single day, which I do since day one until the end, I don't know, for me, it's a game that I can never really get bored of. Like, I've been playing this game for a really long time, and every day I just log in and I just play away. I usually like to play a couple builds after I'm finished with my first build. Because I like to test build, I like to play build, I like to test different forms. If there's anything in the league that I haven't done yet, I would be pretty surprised about it. I usually like to at least test everything that the league has to offer in terms of, let's say, the builds. I will play off meta builds. I will do every single form that I can think of. I will give everything a try. Because in my opinion, even though I've been playing for a while, that's the best way to learn. If you don't want to try multiple different things, or you're not playing every day, then that's grand. You can't really expect someone to want to try different things when their time is limited. So they'll only focus on one thing, or they might focus on what somebody else is telling them that's good, and then they kind of just go from that for the rest of the league. Whether that be the build, whether that be the farm, whether that be how to make profit in the league. That's how a lot of people do play this game. A lot of people definitely take it a lot more casual than I would. That's not to say that I know everything about it. I'm still learning as the game goes on, which I think is one of the coolest parts about it. You can have tens of thousands of hours and still find something new, especially if you're not going around and testing everything and playing different builds and different crafting methods and learning all that there is to it. Now, there's a lot that this game offers to learn. Is it worth it? It's 100% worth it. If you can put the time in to learn any of the mechanics, how to play the game, it's definitely worth it. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the league. I think it wasn't as bad as a lot of people have said. Could have been better, yes. Overall, am I happy with the league? Yes. Am I looking forward to 2.30? Of course. That was my kind of quick summary of what I thought about the league. I just would like to get to know some of your guys' opinion on it, whether you've had a good time with it, whether you thought it was a massive letdown, what GG could have improved on. Just let me know. Going to be interesting to have that discussion. So thanks.